So, hello guys, and welcome to today's Geeks Talk Thursday. So Geeks Talk Thursday is a community for developers to learn, engage, and share knowledge. And our kind of slogan is "Let the commit speak." And the website is Geeks Talk Thursday.co.ke. It's a tech blog, and Geeks Talk Thursday is brought to you with love from us, KE. So what we do at Gift of Thursday, we introduce the developers to development. We do code labs. We have chats. We talk about productivity. We talk about product launching and product review, and we do open source stuff also. And other interesting activities that you can check out of Geeks of Thursday, we have Fun Friday hosted by Body every Friday from 4 to 5 bi-weekly, and the blog is I just mentioned. We have Android 254 open bar. This is always awesome. You can check it out. Just go to Telegram, search Android 254 and join the community. Check out Atlassian community events also, mostly on teamwork and collaboration, more of DevOps stuff, yeah. And Atlassian community also started their open bar recently. I think if you join these communities, if you go to Atlassian community Nairobi on Telegram, you'll find it, and you'll get the more discussion. The topic is pinned there. So we are on YouTube. You can search Geeks of Thursday on YouTube and subscribe and turn the notifications on for any videos. Every sessions of these are recorded and they are found there. And there's also GitHub organization where we always do open source stuff, and also in Slack where we can further discussions on the open source stuff which are being done on GitHub. So today, what did I click? So I'm the moderator, Magak Emmanuel. I'm a developer at AppsLab. So today we are having a speaker, Marvin Collins. So what we always do, aside from the topics which we always come up with from the discussions we have in the group, at times we also have members who do volunteer to present, and if such happens, we always give them the opportunity. And we thank Marvin because he's one of our frequent presenters. Anybody always want to present even 100 times, we always give that opportunity to present at Geeks on Thursday. You can always reach out. So today Marvin Collins is going to talk about MVC patterns in depth. And yeah, so let's hear from him. Just give me like a second. I switch him to present his screen. Hope Marvin, you're ready. Yeah, it connects the screen. Just like few seconds. Yep, and it's there. So I'll mute, and I think Marvin will take over. Thank you guys, and stay as we keep learning.
Uh, Hello guys. So my name is Marvin Collins Osaya, and this year I'm trying to share as much as I can, and also I'm kind of building myself. I'm trying to record a series of kind of a course in Go. So I'm trying to build myself how to kind of explain items and teach. Yeah, so this is part of a series I'm recording at the moment, and part of that series I talk about MVC pattern. So I'm just going to try as much as possible to elaborate what MVC is, and maybe some other few patterns. So this basically this concept was introduced in like 1975, 1979 thereabout, and 10 years later it was adopted by a lot of industries. So some people, I mean, most of the time you'll hear people say it's an architecture. Some call it a design pattern, and I'm just going to elaborate between architecture and the design pattern. So let me just open my screen really quick. What thing's called mirror is. Just a few minutes, then we'll be there. Let me use this. I do this. Okay. Yeah, very good. So we have architects. How do we write architecture here? Yeah, and we have design pattern. So you can use this interchangeably, but let me just clarify so that you get. So when you talk about architecture, which is this, the first one here, okay. When you talk about architecture, which is the first one there, an architecture is a set of principles that is used by an organization to address the way they distribute their system, the way they partition their system, the way they come up with the protocol when designing the system, the interfaces, scalability. So that is what you call an architecture. So basically, an architecture is used for large structure, large organization kind of. So when you're building an application, that is a large organization or a large application. So in this case, your application acts like an organization. So you come with an architecture to design, to partition the application so that it makes it easier to develop the application. But when it comes to design patterns, when it comes to design patterns can be used inside an architecture. And what I mean by that one is your application is using an architecture, but some part of the application you're going to develop them using different design patterns. Hopefully, I'll have a separate session on design patterns, but today I'm only going to focus on architecture. In this case, it is MVC. So generally, okay, that one. So generally, MVC stands for this is model. Then we have the view, and we have the controller. Okay, so that is what an MVC is, and I'll go step by step and explain each and every word in MVC. So but we have also other architectures. Even before we go to MVC, we also have other architectures, and they are used interchangeably. They are more or less the same. We have MVC, we have MVP, we have MVVM. So MVC, we're going to talk about it today. But MVP is more or less like we have a model. I'm going to explain a model, and we have a view. I'm going to explain a view, and there's a presenter. So the presenter basically what it does is the presenter just processes the user data with the help of a model. So you're going to get the concept of a model in view, then add the presenter. Then on MVVM, that is model view model. So I think I've not read much about it, but I think it's mostly used in the Android or mobile application development. But basically or generally, there's a model which used to for the business and the data logic. Then you have the view that is for the user view presentation or the UI. Then we have the view model, which now it's used for interchangeably to our view to interact with one or more than two models. But that is not our focus today. So our focus is MVC. So MVC, like I said, it's model. Then you have the view and the controller. And I'll try to make this a little bit simple enough when explaining. So, sorry, just a minute. So we have we have the model now, and you have I want to start with the view. So view is a data presentation layer. This is like a layer. For instance, if I move this, let me show you a picture. This is like a layer. So things tutorial or something. Dev. Then we go. Okay. So let's start with this one. Okay. So let's start with this one. So we have an MVC example there, as you can see, and the picture we have a waiter, and you have a customer, and you have the chef or the cook. So ideally, the customer is making an order to the waiter. So he's saying like, hey, you know what, buddy, I want some deep fried, some fries and maybe a burger or something. And the chef does not know what the customer is requesting. So the chef relies on the waiter to get the information or to know what the customer is requesting. So the chef will know the order, but he will not. He will know the order, but he will not know who the customer is. So ideally, he's going to request, he's going to prepare the order, but she or he does not know who is going to eat that order, that food. Okay, and the customer is going to receive the order, is going to receive his food, but he doesn't know who made the food. Now the waiter just acts like a control, like a backbone between these two people, and that is what MVC is basically. So back to our view here. So we have the model now. Now the model, we have the view. So the view is a data presentation layer. So it's present the data to the end user, and this involves rendering data to users. A good example, if you're a mobile developer, that is the XML or whichever language you use to customize the front end. And if you're a front end developer, that is now the JS and XML or a JSON. Okay. Now this data, this data received from an endpoint or something. And where do we get them? We get them from the controller. So the controller is like the spinal cord. Some people do refer to it as the brain, but we can't say it's the brain. It's just like it's holding things together. So I usually refer to it like a spinal cord of the application. So it's link the view to the model. We're going to talk about the model. I think even the best thing is to talk about the model first, then you understand the role of the controller. So the model is mostly it's data classes. At some point you can go an extra mile and put your business logic within the model. So what the model does is it handles data objects. Okay, so it's handles the data objects and it's kind of encapsulation. It doesn't really show. It doesn't really reveal the data to the controller. If a controller wants a user and specifically the username and the ID, the model will only give the controller the username and the ID, and that's it. So, for example, for instance, if we have a user here, okay, this is our user, and let me just, oh, why is it not moving? Let me just push that on there. And our user has these are the data the user has, so email, phone number. Okay, so can I increase this? Now the whole idea is this is our model. Okay, so the whole idea is the models has only one responsibility to give the requested data. So if this guy say, hey, you know what, let me say user model. So if this guy say like, hey, I want you to give me the email. Let's start password here because we are assuming it's for login. I want you to give me the email and the password. Okay. I want you to give me no, not to sorry. I want you to return to me the name. We're going to use that the first example somewhere else. So I want you to give me the name and the email and phone number. Okay. So the user model will only return the name, email, and the phone number. So mostly it's kind of the encapsulation layer of the application. The model, the encapsulation layer of the application. Then another functionality of the model, it is responsible for writing and accessing data, whether it's to the storage or to database. So that is the responsibility of the model. So when you're developing the application, please don't use your controller to write or read from the database. Now back to controller. So like I said, the controller is the backbone of the application. So right now I'm talking about one way, and the one way I'm talking about is let me have this one so I can draw. Okay, and sorry, you will hear my mouse. I'm not using my mouse. I'm trying as much as possible not to make those punching noises in your. Actually, I think I can do that. I can do that in setting to just make it stop instead of making noise. That one I can feel it is like really a touchpad. Okay. Tap to click. Yeah. let me, just a minute. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. 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 Whoops. Okay, so sorry for that. So let's proceed. Okay, so I think that's pretty much. So I'll log in here quickly. I don't know. Add an account here. Just need a whiteboard to demonstrate some few things, and I don't know why these guys want me to log in. I don't want to log in, so let me just go through that ones very quick. New. Really? GTT. Let's create the class already. So there we go. So we have a whiteboard here. We have a whiteboard here for our class now. So we're going to have, this one is a bad one. Okay, but let me say that is our user. Okay, so you can call that one user. Just want you to understand this one. Okay, then that is now the view. Then you're going to have another guy here. Okay, and you're going to call another. What are you doing? So our model, so we can call that is our database, and we're going to have the circle here, and this guy is going to be, how do we make this thing big? Anyway, so now, so we have what I wanted to show you is this line. We have this line moving to that direction. Then you have this line moving to this direction. Then we have also no. Think man, how do we undo? I'll show you. So I can just get an image very quick. So I'm just wasting time drawing that one. Yeah, I think this one is a better one. Let me just open this one in a new tab and you're good to go. That won't have it. Come on, dude. Pulling. Okay. Think of a bunch of them. Yeah, think in ilichora sometime, but it's not even. Manu kuna msana mekelele bana. I don't know ni nani. So let me just use this one. So it's not, I'm sure you can view, but I don't know, I just want to make this one explanation very good. So just don't know why I'm able to get something. Fuck it. Okay, so just give me some few, yeah. Oh, there we go. So just really quick, going to have that guy there. Alafu, we're going to have this guy here, okay, and we're going to have that one here, and this is going to be your controller, okay, and can give it bigger size. And oh, these things, you need to have these things like when I was a killer time, and this is our model. So now this is the user, and I want to show you how these things do communicate. So this is the user, okay. Now this is the user, and the user communicates, sends a request to the controller. So let me say you're logging in. So let me say user there. So this action is a request here. So this is a request. Okay, let's say here, this is a login. Okay. Now the login, like we said here, we have a user. The user has a name, email, phone number, and password. So when the user wants to log in, is going to provide data. So the data that is going to provide is the request now. Okay. Let me make this one big so that you understand. I'm going to provide the request, and within the request is only going to give us the username or stroke email in this case, and the password. The password, and that's it. That's what we require for the user to log in. Okay, so it's going to send this to the controller. Okay, so within the controller is now where you do the security check. So the controller acts like a, if you're going, for example, if you're going to see a boss, the secretary will confirm if you have an appointment and stuff like that. So within the controller is where you do now the security check, the validations, those small activities. But my advice is try as much as possible. I'll explain this one later. Try as much as possible to make your controller minimum, like it should not have a lot of stuff. And now from that one, I'll explain now how to extend an architecture. Now, once the controller receives the data from the user, it will forward the data after validation. Now, the controller will forward the data to the controller. To the model. So the controller, after validation, we just provide, hey, we need an update. We just need you to check if these data are available in the database. So what usually happens between the controller and the model is usually more updates. So here, it's usually more updates upper. So upper we have more updates. That's what usually happens between the controller and the model. So we have the updates happening in between. So if the data is true, the controller, the model will allow. But now you need to have kind of many layers of security. By the way, security starts from, let me just use the pen now. Security starts from this point. Security start here. And I'll show you what I mean by security starts from that point. And you also do another validation here. You also do another validation in the model. Now, once everything is okay with the model, then the model will back to this image. Once the food is ready, the chef will give it to the waiter, and the waiter will give it back to the customer. So the same thing applies here. Once the update has happened. Now the model will now check the information that is required just to validate that the user is available, which is, like we said, the username, the name, email, and phone number. So the model will return the name, the email, and the phone number to the controller. Then the controller will forward it to the view. So how does that happen? So here we are. Okay. Now the controller will give it back to the model, and this is what we call the notification. So hey, like, hey, this is the notification, and it's called, we can call it notification or response. Let me just say, oh no, that's not the response. You can call it notification, also update, or the best word of returning information. I don't know, it's notification. I'm returning a notification plus information. So yeah, we call this notification. So it will send back the notification to the controller. Hey, everything's look okay, or everything does not look okay. We don't have that person in our database, so we're giving you a 4-4. So here can be given a 4-4. That's why we call it a notification. Now the controller will process that data. So where you process your data from the model is within the controller. Now sometimes people argue that you need to have your business logic. You need to have your business. I'll just call it. Let me just write it in full. You need to have your business logic within the model. But personally, I don't agree with that, and I'll explain why. Okay. I'll talk about our extending the architecture. So the controller will need to. I think I need to rush now. The controller will process the data and send it back to the view, and hapo sasa ndio unaona the user is logged in. Okay. So as we talk about that one, let me start booting up. So by the time in Aisha, we're good. Yeah, so the controller will return back the information to the user. Now something I want you to note, that there's no interaction between the user and the model. So our data is safe. So before even somebody reaches data, we are more kind of safe. Okay. So that's pretty much on the way it is structured. Now so to finalize with this diagram, so our user, our customer is the view, our controller, our waiter is the controller, and our model is the cook. So if the food is bad, okay, if the food is bad, this guy cannot beat the chef. Okay, ideally in the real world, of course, you can cook and beat the cook or the chef, but we're assuming that for this guy to reach the chef, he has to go through the waiter who is the controller in this case. Okay, so you can have different example like refrigerator, okay, and stuff like that. So refrigerator and the user. So now let's talk about the why do we even need to use MVC? Why do we care? So number one thing is, I'll just try and write them here. Number one thing, the first thing is code quality. So if you have code quality will be well structured, kind of well documented. Okay. Then we have the separation of logic. Okay. Separation of logic. Okay, did I get separation? Not really. Separation of logic. I think that's it. So you can separate the business logic and data processing logic, validation logic into different section of the code. So you don't mix different code. Okay. Then it's very easy to jump into a project. It's very easy to jump into a project, and what I mean by that is, if you know another developer or your team is using an architecture for this case is MVC, then it's going to be very easy to start, so pick up the project and start, because you are familiar with the architecture, so you know what you're going to do. Or Badalaya, just picking a project and you don't know even the structure that they're using. So I'll encourage you to kind of study this kind of architecture. And if you're using a language or a framework, know which the architecture that is used to develop that framework. Then we have to make testing easier. To make testing easier, I'm going to talk about extending the architecture for test. So it's make testing easier because now the logic, like we said, you can separate the logic. So it's make testing easier. And another thing, code reusability, and I love this a lot, man. I live by this every day. Code reusability. I hate writing code like more than one. So yeah, there's code reusability. Okay. Sorry. Then the development speed. Yeah, that is also another thing I love. So that one is on the development speed. The development speed, your development speed will increase. So instead of arguing about this language is fast, I usually say the language is as good as you are. So if your development speed, the language might be fast, but your development speed doesn't match it. Now, leverage functionalities provided by languages. So architectures also leverage functionalities provided by languages. And the best example of these languages, we have Django, Ruby on Rails, PHP, we have Kotlin, I think, also have that kind of functionality. So, so they leverage those, the architecture leverage most of the language functionalities. Of course, we said easier to test, so that means it's TDD. It supports MVC supports TDD, test development driven, and it also supports domain development driven. Yeah, domain development driven. Then kuna ACD action. ADC. That was action Mesao. So mostly it supports those development. Now maintainability, the code will be easy to maintain. So it will be easy to maintain the code because at least the code has a flow. You know where to start and where to go to. Then you can develop. Large team can develop on a single project or a large project without conflicting with each other. I know there's an element of gate there, but having an architecture make it easy to work on a project very easily. And lastly, not second last is you can not really second last, on the same point you can work parallel. That means different teams can work on different components, and which brings us back to this image. We can have a front-end team, okay? We have a front-end team, and we have a back-end team. So basically, these guys are the back-end guys. Okay, so we can have the backend team here, or we can have the front end, the backend team, and maybe if it's a complicated application like Uber, you can have your database engineer working on the models and stuff like RabbitMQs. Okay, so but there are some other challenges that comes with the MVC. Example is sometimes if you are new to it, it's hard to read the code. If you're using a framework that uses MVC, you might find it difficult to navigate the code. And when the project is big, it can be complex sometimes. So you have to be aware of that one because uh, because of code separation. Then it's like the same team need to have more or less kind of the same knowledge. Okay, so you need to have more or less the same knowledge to work with you know everything. So okay. Um, we come to that one. Good. So my last point of this explanation, is how do you, like we've talked about this core party, like the user, the controller, the user, the backend, that's the controller, and the database, which is the model. But how can you extend this one? Okay, like I said, sometimes you don't want to mix your model here with your database with the business logic. Okay, so some people do extend functionality within the framework, and that is now where the design patterns come in place. Okay, so this website I love reading almost every now and then. How do you call it? uh aji source sourcera.com. Source Sosara. Ah, so, okay. Oh God. Mm. So I think I'll share this one in the chat section. You can check it later. Sosara. Yep. Yeah. This guy is. So the one. No. The guy. Design patterns. Control H. Okay, so yeah, so sorry. For that. So you can check Sosari website, more design pattern. I'm not going to cover design patterns in this step through. Sosari design pattern. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I think that's great. So you can read more about the design patterns here. They will explain and stuff like that. Then there's another one. Mostly I use it for PHP, but I'll forward that one later on. I use it for PHP, but you can also Google stuff like PHP design patterns, and you'll find a lot of them on the internet. The other one is refactoring guru. Refactoring guru. So it is I don't know if they focus only on PHP or they cover almost everything. But refactoring guru is a nice one too. So when it comes to design patterns and refactoring, but even if you're doing a different language, please go read this guys. Design patterns cut across. There are those that don't cut across, but most of them majority of them cut across. So it's the chat section. Okay, so go have a look at that. Go have a look at that, and go have a look at this one too. Go have a look at that one. So we are about to wind up, so don't worry. Okay. Okay. Move that. So good, fair enough. So what usually happens? Oh, Jesus, come on! I'm so stubborn. What usually happens is when you have now the controller and stuff, now you start using different patterns. Now you can expand your application. You can move your business logic to things like services or adapters, stuff like that. And now you create a whole new folder for them. So I'll just do a quick. This one is more practical. I'll just do it a quick, then we call it a night. So there was this application that I built. So I'll just open it very quick. I'll use VS Code, and almost I love dark old themes, so that's why everything of mine is dark old. So, yep. So this is an MVC structure. Laravel is built on MVC, and this is the root here. So now most of your configuration files need to be in the root, and this applies to most of every programming language. So your configs need to be in the root, okay, plus your readme and stuff like that. Now it's then we have the controller here. So these are the controller. So I'll just make a quick controller. Sorry, I use a lot of aliases, so you shall see that one. So that one will make a very quick controller, and okay, there you go. So we have this controller here, and the work of the controller, we don't have anything there, so just delete it. The work of the controller is like, hey, what are you going to give you? So let's say, for example, we're going to give you demo. Okay, let's say just use a login, because that is what we are using by that time, and it's going to get the request and request. So I need to pull up. This should take less import classes. It's supposed to import which request TTP. So we'll have that one, and we're not going to do anything. Just so I'm only going to create there's a user model. There's a user model. We're not going to create a user, so we're just going to say user, then say something like username. Okay, put it there, and you can say user. Okay, can just say simple as name, and you say Marvin. Okay, then you can say user, then you say password, and you say bcrypt. Okay, then you say secret. We don't use secret. Devant secret. So that is going to be our password, and we'll just do a DD here of the user, just to see if we receive the request. Okay, so that's pretty much. So we're going to do this first. Wait, did I close that? I don't think I did. So we're going to do the user sending the request, a login request. Then the controller is going to receive it. This is the controller. We've just written the logic of receiving that one. So let's do that one really quick. And here we're going to display two things. So instead of displaying my name here, just going to say request name, and this is going to be a get method. It's going to be get, and you're going to say here request password. So this is just to explain the logic, so don't worry about everything that's going on. So we're just going to FWP, okay, and we're going to, instead of this one, we're going to use login. So that user login, what we're going to do there, we're going to demo controller and saying that, hey, then I think it's user login if I'm not wrong. So again, this is just a random speed coding, and yeah, it is. So that's pretty much. So if you go to let's pack this on. So valid link. So GTT. Yeah. So if we go to user login, let me just copy that URL very quick and pen that my test browser, boot it up, and go there, gpt dot test. Okay, then there we go. It give us that one, but it's now null. Now let's give it some input here, and we're going to say the name is going to be Marvin Collins. I'm using the, let me just increase the, okay, yeah, that makes sense now. So I'm just using this stuff. So we're going to just say secret. Okay. So if we enter that one again, and if you check our data, you can now see we have name and we have secret, and we pass them. So this is like your form now. This is like your form, and they are passed into the controller. So the controller, which is this one, is going to receive the user login. Okay. So what you can return back, to the front end now, let's say is a response JSON. Okay, and say like response JSON, and you're going to tell like, hey, we give a message like success. Okay, I don't want to fancy stuff. Successfully logged in, and we can give now we can now say this is the user, and the user, we can just pass the user here as the user. I don't know if that's going to work. It's been long since it's like coding. So like I told you, it's like coding, expecting whatever it is expecting. And so as you can see here, it shows you that the message was successful, the user was logged in. Now this is our model. All this time I've not talked about model. So if you come here in Laravel, I think there's some bit of Laravel that is not well structured, so don't blame them for that. But the models are usually outside. Okay, the last time I checked. Oh, you see, the model is outside. So basically what I usually do is when I'm creating a model, I give them the folder models at least to be in it. So you can say models teachers. Okay, and that will create the model plus the table. So you can see we have a model here, but now with Laravel they put the model outside. Okay, so many guys have complained about that, but anyway, this is the model, and you can see I think this, okay, we'll explain this one. You can see if you go to authenticate, this is the model. If it's extend a user auth, so if you click this one, you'll see that this one extend model and implement this other thing. So that is just means, so it's extend a model. So this user here, this user here is just a model. Now I talked about that the model can decide to give data or deny data. So as you can see here, we have the fillables, then we have the hidden. Now the hidden is like, hey, whatever you're going to return, if you're going to return something, please don't return the password, don't return the remember token. So every time you're going to receive a user model, you're not going to, your application will never return this one. That's why I said the model can be an encapsulation logic of the application. Now, how do we extend now the structure? Now, this is the structure that we have, but how do we extend it? So, for instance, if you have M-Pesa API, for instance, and you have a service called agent, you can create a folder and say, under this folder, we're going to just call them adapters. Okay, so all your adapters will go to this folder. That's how you extend it. So if you're using adapter pattern, you will make all your adapters appear. So if you now, this brings the point that I say, if you're using a design pattern, so your design patterns adapter will come here, and if you're using factory design patterns, you'll make your factories in that factory folder. At least it makes more sense. Now, so what I usually use mostly of the time, I move all the business logic, all of the action to what is called action. So I simply create action folder. In that action folder, if I'm going to log in a user, I can just create yes. Okay, let me just gamble with it. So I'll just create user login action. Okay, I'm not going to go into details. That is not even a PHP file. Then I'll do all my login actions here without anything. If you're using events, you create your events button. There's events already with the Laravel, I think. If you are using providers, you put them under the provider folder. So that's pretty much, unless kuna mtu hapo na swali. Then I think we are good to go. If you have a question, I think I've exhausted everything that I wanted to explain about if model is that chat. Oh yeah, there you go. So if you have a question, please, this is the time. Sorry for taking too long. So this was going to take me roughly like maximum 30 minutes, but doubled. So sorry. Questions? Then I think we're good to go now, Emmanuel, if there's no question.
Well, thank you, Marvin. So I think just ended today's session, and thank you, Marvin, for the session, and thanks for everyone who attended.